inside another dimension, face battling barbarians and evil magic on a quest for adventure in a maze of monsters. Once you get into it, you'll never be the same. Hero Quest. Now, with 2 new adventure packs, the legend grows.
Hi, welcome back to Not Your Mother's Hobbies. Today we're going to paint our first miniature from Against the Ogre Horde, the Orc Archer. Now we have the male version here that we're going to paint, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We've seen green orcs before. This time around, I'm going to show you how to paint that red skin from my previous video. Now if you do want to paint them the original green color, I'll put a little bloop up for you guys to click on, but otherwise, let's get to painting. So like I mentioned, we're going to do red skin for these orcs. I had done it before for one of the special options, just in case you get a named character. It'll help differentiate your little miniature on the board. You know, this guy in the horde, in the group, is your special boss character, what have you. Just adds a little bit of variety there. And so we're starting with Blood Angels Red for this, or any kind of quick shade or speed paint or contrast paint variant you got going, and put that on all the little hidden skin areas. You can see he's got a little belly bit poking out here. There's a little bit on his back as well, and then in between some straps and stuff like that. So just go around and block in all of those skin spots. You can see here what I chose. There's a couple that are hidden, might not be keen to the eye, especially on the female sculpt. So once you're finished that, we're going to go with snakebite leather for all of the leather. This is kind of following a similar pattern of how we broke up the details on the original orc. We want these guys to, feel like they're part of the same group, right? So a lot of this is we're going to color match, and it's more about picking out the details and identifying what's there on this sculpt. This is quite a busy sculpt. This guy's a little more armored than the original orcs, I feel. They still have that jagged, full plate, mismatched armor all around, but there just seems to be a lot more of it. We're also going to use this brown for the bow. There's the arrow, there's some little bits poking out on the bow that I chose, just some accent points, and we're going to try to break up the color a bit more so that you can see the details. Skeleton Horde here, we're going to use for the arrows and some fur and wrapping details, I guess, around the bow. There's a lot of little spots to pick out that you can use to accent, even more than I chose, if you wanted to. We have Basilicanum Gray for our armor. We're going to be blocking that in for our steel armor. Just going around, and that's basically the whole rest of this miniature is this Basilicanum blocking in. Just going all around, there's chainmail, there's big huge belt buckles, there's accents on the bow, there's the tip of the arrow, there's big chunky spiky plate mail armor, all kinds of stuff all on this guy. So just go around and take your time filling it all in now. Alright, back to that skin. We're going to use Mephiston Red to smooth out any blotchy parts, any tide marked areas, anywhere that the contrast paint didn't really smoothly go over. Maybe you were too quick, or the details were too bumpy, or you get streaks sometimes. It's not always perfect. So you're going to go around and just smooth out those areas and realign the base. Evil Sun's Scarlet is going to be for a little bit of a highlight to pick it up. Red is tricky. If you go too quick and too white, you're going to get pink. And if you go another way, it's just going to look orange instead. So you want to slowly build it up, and that's where we're using Evil Suns. I feel like it's a very subtle and nice level up from the Mephiston base. Don't forget his little belly and those fingers. I chose not to really do the face as much, because the face I felt had quite a nice contrast and gradient already with my original Blood Angels Red. We're going with War Colors here because it is the nicest orange that I have. And it's also got a good consistency very thin but opaque. So we're using this. I end up doing 2 coats to build up a nice orange highlight. You can see here this is the second layer and how bright that brings it up even after that first coat. So another way to smooth your transition. That's why I'm using more colors. It's what I have. It's also very smooth when layering up. We have gunmetal here, and we're going around all the steel parts, and we're just gonna roughly hit it, rougher than I probably would on another miniature. And that's because this is an orc. That's part of it. You can use the theme of your miniature to reinforce speed hacks, I guess. The armor here is rough and rugged and spiky and violent, and so we don't have to be as accurate because it's just going to add to that theme and that flavor of rough and rugged, spiky, violent. So I got Neln Oil Gloss. Remember, if you don't have this, it is discontinued. Just use a dark tone shade and apply a gloss coat on top, or mix it together and make your own glossy shade mix. We're putting that around all the steel metal parts, but making sure to avoid the chainmail, just because my personal preference, I like to use a brown wash. And so, again, going around, this time with our brown wash, Agrax Earthshade, and a little gloss mix in there if you got it. Doing this to pick out and differentiate the chainmail. Alright, final touches. Just a bunch of little details to help pop things out, make it not look so busy. We're going to start with Wraithbone and just pick out some of these arrow fletchings. The one he's got drawn, the ones on his backpack. He's got a little fur back there too. We're using Bold Titanium White as well. This is going to be just way brighter. If you don't want to go so bright with your toenails and your fingernails and your tusks, you can 100% use Wraithbone, but I really wanted these details of fingernails and tusks to show up a lot more on the miniature, so I chose white. We got Chrome, and we're just popping in, dotting in, slashing in, striking in, all the different ways to add punctuation to your miniature, to add texture and detail, etc. We're doing that for our highlights, as well as taking our time on the chainmail to just dot in some of the scales where light would hit on the most. You don't have to do all of them. Remember, you don't have to do that, but you can use the natural lighting effect of bright light on your shiny, glossy coat to help inform you on where you might want to pick out some scales. And we've got Tyrant Skull just to add a little bit extra detail to the bow. We're going to dry brush the arrow, the wood bits, and of course the wrappings. Then we base it like we normally do. Gray paint, texture paint, dry brush, shade, and a dry brush. And with that, we have our painted Orc Archer in the red variant. You can see here how bright that skin looks, just peeking out from between all the armor folds, picking out the belly, and that little sliver on the back really adds to the details that you can see here. It really adds to focal points within the big mess of armor that we have going on. Same with the bow, the wrappings that we have, the little bits of wood. Those all create points of interest within this kind of mash of details with the crazy armor that's going on. Here's our green variant as well, so you can see what that's going to look like, or what that could look like, as well as where some of the hair is located, because it might look like on the front some of that hair could be parts of the armor and stuff. But I hope that helps you guys. You can see kind of your options, the possibilities, and how that will look on your board or against multicolored orcs. I know that these are maybe too colorful for some, but I feel like HeroQuest is quite cartoony silly, so that works for me. You guys can let me know in the comments down below what kind of orcs you're going to paint. Are you going to try different colors? What colors you do your orcs already? Do you have a variety of greens, or do you do multicolored or gray, or what have you? Once again, I'd like to shout out my very special patrons. If you didn't know, we got a Patreon now. You've all helped me keep my supplies restocked, my materials like primer and paint and glue and what have you. So thank you very, very much. head on over if you'd like to find out more ways to support. Otherwise, comment, like, subscribe if you haven't. Check me out on Twitch for game stuff, and we'll have more Against the Ogre Horde coming up. Bye-bye!